Welcome to the Chargers Central podcast. Today we're going to have on Shawne Merriman, a former Charger legend. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I've been keeping up with you guys a lot, man. So I'm, pretty excited about this interview.
All right. So my first question is, what are your expectations for the Chargers this season?
It's so sometimes I try not to be a homer, right? Everybody expect me to be that. But I think honestly, if the Chargers stay healthy this year, now and I want to be very clear about this, it's going to all depend on health. This is the best chance they've had in the last decade or so to win a Super Bowl. They have that kind of team built. I think Tom Telesco's done a great job at assembling this nucleus of a team that they have. You look at the Pro Bowlers and all pro guys they have at just about almost every position, whether it's offensive line or quarterback, cornerback, wide receiver. They have a all pro or Pro Bowler in every single position or just about. And so when you have that kind of team built, it just really going to depend on health and how long these guys can stay healthy down the stretch of the year. So this is the year for them to have that chance to do it.
Yeah. I think Jason and I agree with that. Definitely. It all comes down to health.
Definitely. Shawne, so what does it take from the Chargers defense this year to step up to be a championship defense?
For them, one thing that's going to happen is the offense is going to put up points. That's going to be explosive offense. And how the offense and defense work together when you have a really good offense is when you guys go up by 7 or 10 points, those, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, those guys, it's time to hunt, right? It's time to pin your ears back and go because teams are going to be in passing situations. As a outside linebacker or the pass rusher DN, this is Christmas, right? And I used to love when we were up 7 or 10 points or 14 points because now that the team's got to throw. You don't have to worry about the run as much. So knowing that coming into the season when these guys put up points, they got to get to the quarterback. And everything else kind of trickles down into the secondary. And now teams got to throw the ball fast. J.C. Jackson and Derwin and all the DBs. Now you can sit on routes and jump routes and make big plays because that ball has to be gone within 3 seconds. I'm pumped up, man. I'm excited about what's coming.
And what are your thoughts on this year's Chargers defense?
Well, they got veterans in there. Eric Kendricks, right?
Yeah.
People are not talking about him enough. He came in and he's a captain. That should tell you a lot when you have a Khalil Mack, a Joey Bosa, all these great players on defense, and he was named the captain. And so that's telling you when you have somebody that has done what he's done in the NFL already, he walks into the locker room with instant credibility by name recognition because we've all seen him play. Now people can see his work, seeing the time he puts in, seeing him being the leader, and that's how you get voted the team captain, man. So he's going to be a big part, obviously. That if they stay healthy, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, they both should have double-digit sacks this year. We're looking at a comeback player of the year, J.C. Jackson. He stays healthy. So there's a lot of upside in this team coming into this season.
Shawne, what kind of impact do you think Thule from USC, the defensive end, can have on the team this year?
Yeah, Thule, we've already seen flashes of him. And one thing that I like about him is when you come in as a rookie, right? You just want to do your job. You want to stick to the assignment. Obviously, you got to do what the coaches are looking for you to do. But he had to play in the preseason when he came upfield and came under and made the play. And I've always been under the impression and just had the mindset like, hey, if you do risky things, you do things, go make a play. You just got to go make it, right? Everybody say, hey, don't do this, don't do that. When he came up under that block with that TFL and started making, those type of things, it's showing that he's a playmaker, man. You put him on the field and he's going to make some great things happen. And just having him in that rotation with those guys, I love to call the 3-headed monster. He's going to do some damage, man. I can't wait to see him play.
Do you see any similarities in Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack to yourself and Sean Phillips?
Well, a lot, actually. And matter of fact, when people ask me about anyone who kind of resembles my game and the way I played, it's Khalil Mack. because he's such a disruptor. He can do a lot of things. He strikes fear in a lot of offenses, linemen and offenses in general. He's always around the football. He can play in coverage if you need him to, drop it to the flats or carry a tight end if you need him to do, certain things. And it always helps on the other end. I know a lot of people don't talk about Shawn Phillips enough, but Shawn Phillips, man, was a damn good player. And if it wasn't for him, I couldn't do the things that I did because people would just come out and double team me every single game. But they knew if they did that, then Shawn Phillips was going to go out and make a play, so people couldn't double team me as much as they wanted to. So they complement each other very much like myself and SP back in the day.
I had the pleasure of watching you live a few times. Can you describe to me what the feeling was like when you would get a sack at Qualcomm Stadium?
Yeah, it's like it's like drinking a energy drink and that hitting your system for the first time, that jolt that wakes you up, that good coffee, right? Because you can't describe that feeling of that many people in the stadium. It sounds like a wave, right? When that many people, and you look over and people are doing the lights out dance, and they had the lights out defense signs, and also too, when you got done with the game, you got 30 or 40 text messages of everybody that's watching that Monday night or Sunday night football. It's very hard feeling to replace. And to do something where you're just changing the game as a defensive player is very special because you expect the offensive guys to do it, right? A big run, a big pass, a big catch. But when you can change the game as a defensive player, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Which Chargers player offensively and defensively needs to be the X factor for this team?
Mike Williams is great. Keenan is great. The kid Johnston is going to come in, and I think I got him as my offensive rookie of the year. I think he's going to win it. I think that nobody's really talking about Everett enough, and the ability that he's going to be able to do because he's going to work the middle of the field. You got Johnson is stretching the field. Keenan Allen, who's going to be shifty in the shorter outs and patterns and slants. Curl routes because his route run is just so superb. Mike Williams is the best possession wide receiver, jump ball wide receiver in the NFL. Everett is the one that's going to cause the mismatches with linebackers when they try to cover him one-on-one. Those option routes and working guys in and out and being able to run a 7 route and the linebacker has to run with him. He's the one, in my opinion, who's going to eat the most and benefit the most out of that powerful offense that they got this year.
Interesting. And defensively?
Defensively for me, it's I think Derwin, man, it's hard to really point because they got so many great players in that defense. What Derwin's going to do is because Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, all those guys are creating so much havoc on the edge. You got somebody's going to have a double team, somebody's going to have a slide protection, and when you start to drop Derwin in that box or blitz him off the edge or blitz him down the middle, he's the one that's going to cause a lot of problems for people because now you got to make a decision, right? Who are you going to turn the line to? Who are you going to slide to? You bring Derwin up in one of those gaps off the edge, he's going to be either two things. He's going to be a one-on-one block, which he should win against anybody, or he's going to be unaccounted for. And that's going to be the X factor.
Right. Switching gears a little bit, do you have any good Phillip Rivers off the field stories?
How much time we got? How much time we got? Man, Phillip, obviously we know he talks trash. We know he don't curse. I think a lot of people know that about him. He's the ultimate competitor. I've never played with anybody that's more competitive than Phillip Rivers was. And him and LT both used to do this, but I would say Phillip more than LT. And we'll be in season. We'll be in a weight room. And I got the 120s or 140s on the dumbbell, the bench in the weight room. And Phillip will come by and he'll tap me after I do my last set and I re-rack the weights. Phillip will come by and tap me and say, hey, you got Walter Jones this week, those 140s not gonna cut it, right? And LT used to do this to me too. And so I'll go up to, and they would take turns. I'll go up to the 160s, right, on the dumbbells. And during the season, you're just trying to maintain. You're not trying to, go overboard. All your heavy weightlifting is during the off season, but during the season, you're trying to maintain. So, I'm doing 120s on a dumbbell bench press. Philip will come out and say, hey, you got Walter Jones this week. I don't think those 120s or 140s going to cut it. So that'll kind of piss me off, right? Get under my skin. So I'll go up to 160s. Before you know it, I'm up to 160s. LT will come by and do the same thing. He'll say, hey, you got, such and such this week, or, whoever the running back was at the time or whatever, and they'll tap me, and I'll go to 180s. So it was it's just a constant push of greatness that I was surrounded by, and I got a chance to play with. And I think ultimately, man, that's what made us great. That's what made us the team that we were.
So you played in a time where, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, all these guys were in their prime. Aaron Rodgers was peaking and, heading to his prime. And I know in a recent interview, you said that Peyton Manning was the toughest quarterback you faced. What made him so difficult?
Well, I think that most people are always going to say that Tom Brady, right, is the greatest. He is the greatest quarterback when you're talking about accomplishments. No question about it. I don't think anybody's close. Maybe Joe Montana, maybe, if you want to throw somebody up there. But when you're talking about individual talent and intangibles, I picked Peyton Manning because of his capabilities and his what he commanded on the field, right, and his knowledge of the game. And you can just see him sitting there directing traffic and pointing different ways or whatnot. So stronger arm, neither one of them was super mobile, but Peyton was definitely more mobile. And just the leadership capabilities, man. I think that, if I was a GM starting off a team, I'm going Peyton Manning.
Definitely. So I saw you recently mention Ace Ventura on Twitter. What are some of your favorite movies?
That's one of them. I would say Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence is probably my favorite movie of all time. Those are my two favorite comedians.
Yeah.
Anything with Dave Chappelle, this and it, and I'm a big crime show watcher. Right, the First 48, the Forensic Files, the Unsolved Mysteries. So I actually I go to sleep to crime shows. I don't know if that makes me crazy or not, but I go to sleep to crime shows.
So what is the toughest team you faced in your career?
Well, it's the Patriots, right? They put us out the playoffs so many times, and it was a combination of the Tom Brady greatness. The team was great, but also being coached by Bill Belichick. These guys were like fine-tuned across the board. Didn't make a whole lot of mistakes and then capitalized on your mistakes that you made. And I think that that's what made them who they are in the championship caliber team. I came out, I think a few weeks ago, I had on a podcast about that 06 team that we had being the greatest Chargers team maybe ever. But more importantly, I think we probably was the greatest team or one of the greatest teams anyway that never won a Super Bowl. I mean, we were so stacked talent-wise that you couldn't even put a finger on how good we were. I think we had 11 or 12 Pro Bowlers that year. And so, go back on those teams, man. We really had a great one.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to know what you can tell us about your next Lights Out MMA event.
Yeah, October 7th, man. Lights Out Extreme Fighting 11. We'll be in Long Beach, California. So anybody down in the Long Beach area, come through. This is our biggest one yet. I promise you. We got Al Morales and Musa Tolliver, who I've trained with both of these guys. I've been around the coaching and their managers, their gyms. I know exactly that there's bad blood there. Tommy Aaron is fighting Sergio. This is our biggest card we've ever had. And it'll be in Long Beach, October 7th. You can get your tickets at lightsoutxf.com, and we'll be live on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. If you don't have Fubo, get it. We're up, man, 70% viewership from 9 to LXF 9 to LXF 10, which is unheard of. It's never really happened before. And that's really the fans, man, and having an opportunity to platforms to come and talk about it. But also too, man, I listen to the fans. I talk back and forth, as you guys see on Twitter. I'm always going back and forth with fan bases and stuff. I think the fans are the most important thing to what we do. Regardless if you're in a business, you're a team, fans are the most important part of your business because they are watching. And so when you have the viewership like we have on football, the fans are telling us exactly what we're doing. We're doing a good job of putting on these fights, and the production is great. And, we want to keep going.
Nice. So my final question, having gone through all these, great quarterbacks while they were in their prime, what is some of Justin Herbert's biggest strengths and what are some of his biggest weaknesses?
I was obviously we've all seen his arm, right? And his physical capabilities. I mean, this dude, when I first met him, he walked upstairs, I wanted to meet him. I asked him, hey, is Herbert around? I wanted to meet him, and he walked the room, and I looked up, and I noticed something. I kind of looked up, and I'm a big dude myself, and so I said, man, this guy is unbelievable. But I think it's his quiet leadership and his quiet confidence that is his biggest attribute, because he doesn't have to go around and vocal and everything else. He gives you like this feeling like everything's okay. We can win this thing no matter what situation we are in the game. He gives off that feeling that he's just confident without saying a whole lot. I would think his biggest weakness is, I don't think he has a whole lot, man, to be honest. I mean, you would he missed a couple balls last year, but what can you say? Like, that's the NFL. You're gonna miss a couple balls. I don't see him doing any boneheaded plays, right? Where you're like, why is this dude trying to force it into the triple coverage, right? I don't see a whole lot of that from him. What I would like him to do is just get over that hump. That, just from a former Charger, kind of looking on now as a supporter, as a fan, or whatever you want to call it. I want to see him take that final step of getting over the hump to silence the talk about his capabilities and going into the postseason. And I'm not talking about the media. I'm just talking about in general, because he is a great quarterback. And to be listed as a great quarterback, you got to put yourself in position to get over that hump. I think this is the year for him to do it.
We agree.
Definitely. Yeah, one more question, Shawne. Do you think Herbert should run the ball more, or do you think that's too risky?
Yeah, it's too risky. Really, he's more than capable. I mean, we've seen him take some shots. And I say that there's two positions on the field that got hit counts on their body, and that's the quarterback position and running back position. Either one of those two positions take enough hits, they will start to decline. Lamar Jackson runs the ball better than anybody we've ever seen in history. And, I don't like to see him taking hits, because we'll start to see the injuries pop up out of him, right? You just don't want your quarterback running unless they absolutely have to. And for somebody as big as Herbert is physically, he's very mobile. He's very mobile. So I understand why people would want him to run more, because he can, but you don't want your franchise guy that's going to be here for the next 7 to 10 years to putting himself in harm's way.
Interesting point. All right. I think that was that all for you, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the season.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Shawne.
All right.